Okay, David Kirsten, and we are live with our second segment of Quantum Leap. And it was funny, I was joking with Stu that we were going to bring on the studio audience here when we went live here, but we actually don't have a studio audience today. So we welcome our viewers at home, and we welcome Stu for telling a great joke before we came on. And we're going to get to Stu in just a minute, who's a top East Bay video producer and author of a seminal work really in corporate video production. That's just a beautiful book and template for all really anybody who wants to do anything with video, I think should pick that book up. But Cory, if you don't mind just introducing yourself and telling us about you, and maybe if you have a story about how you met Stu or how long you've known Stu too, we'd welcome that.
So Cory and I here, and business coach with Take Wing Coaching. And I have known Stu since, I'm going to say, probably around 2012. And I joined his BNI chapter as I was taking over the Oakland area as a director, and was in there for about a year, and then they changed days on me, so I had to leave, but I was their director on and off for many years. So knew Stu quite well through that, and he's a fantastic member of BNI too, and just an all-around great guy.
Yeah, agreed. And Stu, actually, his book, which I'm going to have him introduce, if you don't mind saying a little bit about your book and your introduction, Stu. But I'll just say, for me personally, that book has done so much for me as being a video producer, to really have the foundations for some of these key parts in video production that I actually don't see written anywhere else as well as he does it. And that's really this scripting and the conceptualization of the videos, which is so critical. And I think it's why so few people really succeed and make a business out of video, because you have to know how to conceptualize that. And he does have a great BNI chapter as well, which I'd suggest visiting. And so we know each other through BNI. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Stu, to just welcome you back to the podcast. And if you don't mind just telling us a little about you, your story, and that great book that you authored.
Well, thanks, David, and good to see you again, Cory. So I've been a video producer for over 30 years now, independently through my company, Audio Visual Consultants. And so several years ago, Focal Press, who publishes photo books, had seen some articles I'd written in video magazines, asked me to write a book on corporate video production. So many years later now, it's in its second edition. And one of the things that we emphasized is that people working in corporations these days really are making documentary videos. They're making news stories. They're making marketing videos. One of the things that I found that could be applied to small business as well as large business is the video testimonial. All these large corporations now are interviewing some of their best customers and putting those videos on social media. And they're doing very much the same things that little companies can do with even smaller budgets. So that was one of the things that excited me, as well as all of the newer technologies like drones and using mobile devices for video production, 4K live streaming. These are all things that are done within the corporation.
Great. Yeah. If you don't have a video testimonial, I really see an explosion in that right now in the market in terms of people realizing the need. You do reach out to Stu. I think I'll just say that Stu's such a smart guy in helping you tell you what you need and then provide a plan to get there. And I think you talk to a lot of folks and they can't conceptualize it or you have to actually envision how that's going to look on video. I'll just move to, some of the ups and downs of COVID, Stu. I know this has been kind of a crazy time with COVID, and your business has went through some ups and downs. If you don't mind just telling us about your experience with COVID a little bit and how things are looking for you right now compared to maybe a year or two ago.
Okay. All right. Well, right when, the shutdown started, almost 2 years ago now, I had several projects that got canceled and postponed, still postponed. And, I started getting calls from clients saying, we're using Zoom and we need to be able to produce a good quality Zoom meeting. And have you had an experience with that? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, we've been using Zoom way before the pandemic. We've been doing live streaming, using Zoom or, Facebook and other platforms too. So I put on my consulting hat, company name Audiovisual Consultants, and started working with them to help them produce their own videos. For example, the League of Women Voters, was using us every election season to make videos for them, usually documentary type videos to discuss the Oakland ballot measures. And this time they said, well, we can't use you. And I said, well, would your volunteers be willing to speak on their devices to make videos? So we ended up giving them some consulting and never even met any of these people face to face. We made like 6 different videos. I did editing, added graphics and things like that, taught them how to position their devices, how to use lighting. For example, right now I'm looking at a window. I opened up the blinds in the window because I think the power went out where we are right now, but got plenty of battery power on the laptop. So anyway, getting good lighting and getting good audio and putting in graphics. So a lot of people started making their Zoom meetings, and then we've been doing video editing for companies and live streaming. So a lot of organizations have an event. They are either limited or have no audience. So we would go to the event site and film them. Sometimes it's just like a single person, but sometimes they have like an audience of like 10 or 25, but they had a Zoom audience or Facebook, whatever, of hundreds, as a matter of fact. So we've done lots of these. We were doing conference videos before and live streaming them. So that actually became a big part of our business. And that's actually turned out, very successful for us too.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out Stu's website, he has some really great events on there from, the mayor of Oakland, the city of Oakland, other key nonprofits, who do maybe a seminar or a panel discussion, and they have that live streamed, and he, make sure that the shots are good, the audio is good. And we see a lot of kind of bad streams out there these days. If you don't have kind of professionals do it, it doesn't really stand the test of time, so to speak. But these can really be timeless events if you have a panel discussion to capture it. And I don't know if you have any other recent examples of things you want to tell us about. I know we've shared some of your videos before, but it doesn't stream the best over Zoom. But if you have, I know you did a great video that we've shared last time on women, the need for opening doors for women in Silicon Valley and things like that.
Yeah, well, we recently made a video that where our client interviewed their client, who happens to be PG&E, and our client uses AI, artificial intelligence, to monitor PG&E's. They have hundreds of cameras, way out in the mountains to monitor if there's any sparks or smoke or something that might lead to a fire. So this has been like actually a revolutionary device that we just finished the video really just like a month ago or so. And I think we interviewed some of their clients in Sonoma County Emergency Services. There's some consortium of universities where they actually sent us a Zoom interview because they didn't want us to go on site. And but we actually did go on site at PG&E. We did the filming outside, by the way. They have a courtyard, and this technology, it's called Fire Scout, enables the computer, actually, the artificial intelligence, to monitor hundreds of cameras and let operators know that there might be a potential fire going on. So this can be a great way to help save so many lives that have been lost by some of these fires have been sparked by PG&E down power lines.
Great, and I know PG&E just moved into Oakland. Was it less than a year ago? So I'm glad to see that they found you, and I'll have to check out those videos. I look forward to that. We already have a little bit of time for a wild card question before I get to Cory. I did want to just say a word about your book and see if you have any thoughts on it, that I really think to make successful video, you know, say you work with somebody in a corporation or the point person on their end, they actually have to have an understanding of video to be a valued contributor. And that was one thing that I really see that your book does well, is, you know, give kind of a lay of the land for how to do successful video as a corporate video producer. I don't know if you mind just telling us a little bit about that corporate process for video and this kind of back and forth between you and, say, the team on the corporate side for how to produce a quality video.
Sure, David. Yeah. Well, it's planning. Production planning is something that we really emphasize, and in the planning process, we number one, assess their needs. Find out what is the problem, what's their objective, why do they really want a video. Then determine who their audience is, because you really want to speak very directly to the audience. The more you could specify who your audience is. For example, it might be utilities like PG&E, for example. And then we write what they call in Hollywood a treatment. It's like a narrative outline with a lot of visuals describe what the viewer is going to see first, what they're going to see next, and so on. And the whole time we're really working with the client to determine what's going to be some good concepts to use, documentary style, interviews, news style. There's lots of different concepts that could be employed. And then they look at the treatment and we make changes there. And then we write a script. So the script would be based very much on the treatment. The script doesn't necessarily have to be word for word if there's going to be interviews, but if there's voiceover narration, for example, that is word for word. Then the client looks at the script, we make some minor changes, and then we schedule the filming. We usually film on location at clients' facilities. We try to incorporate what we call B-roll, the letter B, meaning, and for me, it's actually the most important part of this. It's showing what is happening rather than having just people talking on camera. In the industry, we call that talking heads. So for example, on my website, I have like 12 examples of concepts that allow you to get away from the talking head. So we come up with these concepts, and we film on location, try to show as much of what they're doing with a variety of camera angles. And then we go to the editing room, put it all together, allow the client to make changes. In some cases, they'll have like 2 different versions, like this Fire Scout video that we made had a regular version. I think it was 4 minutes. And then there was a 2-minute version that was silent that they will be using at trade shows. Hopefully trade shows will be opening up. They had a lot of text on the screen so that people walking by don't have to listen in. They could just watch the video with the text on the screen. So, and then we encourage our clients to do some evaluation. Did we meet those objectives? Did they get new clients? Were employees trained properly in either being managers or doing technical jobs? This really gives me a lot of confidence that our video is working when we can have some kind of evaluation of the video too.
Great. And I'll just say a couple loose ends here that I wanted to tie up, and then I'm going to turn it over to Cory, that you also have a great understanding for kind of raw video versus produced video, because you do everything from Zoom to filming on an iPhone, which I think in some cases raw video is great, but you don't want to kind of, for example, a conference where you have like top speakers filmed in bad lighting or bad camera angles. There's nothing you can do to make people look worse than not set up the event right. And Stu can help with that. And I'll just say too that I've tried things the other way than your book, kind of just how we'll get clients and let's just go out there and wing it and kind of see what happens. And the video, the thing that happens there often is that it doesn't get made to what they want, because in order to get people on the producer and the concept on the same page, you have to have a process like what you set up. Otherwise, one, the video doesn't usually get done, and if it gets done, it's something totally different from what they thought they wanted. And so I'll just say, speaking from experience of doing it the other way doesn't work. So I just wanted to add that, and I'm going to turn it over to Cory if he has any thoughts on that, and for the second part of the interview here.
Oh yeah, always get a professional. It just makes so much more sense. Clearly, we can do some things on our own, but to have, if you want to show yourself professionally, then you get a professional. And I think that applies for so many things. But video is one of the things that's hard to determine how much it's going to cost. And typically, we wind up spending more time on it than we should if we do it as an amateur, and it doesn't look nearly as good. And plus, the video professional can pull out a lot of things that they've seen over the years. They have a lot of experience to bring to the table. So, Stu, why do you do what you do?
It's me. It's my life. I love doing it. The filmmaking bug actually bit in college. A friend had a movie camera, and we started making just experimental, artistic films, and I said, wow, this is fun. Opened up the catalog of the university that I was going to, and lo and behold, there's cinematography courses that I could take. So that's, I said, boy, I could get credit for doing what I love. And then, so my senior year in college, I won first prize at the school's film festival. And that helped me get a job right out of college when a lot of my friends were having trouble getting jobs in the audiovisual field. I was able to get a job as an audiovisual technician, and worked in various colleges and universities and teaching hospitals until I went off on my own. But eventually moved from being an audiovisual technician to being a video producer, and I just love it. I think Confucius said something like, if you love what you're doing, you're never going to have to work another day in your life. So, so it is play, but don't tell my clients this because I do charge them for it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I'll just say one little anecdote here.
Everybody loves what they do. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I'll just say Stu loves being a cameraman. There's something that we love with the trade about lenses and cameras, and I've put a lot of work in there, but he loves this aspects of the shots and working with the camera to, and that really shows in his work. So I'll just, he loves a lot of other tools of the trade too. I just wanted to add that. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no, well, thanks. No, I do love the camera, and that's my toy, big boys toys, but yeah, holding the camera, having a tripod, whatever. That's really, it's a lot of
something
fun.
We share in common. I kind of dream of just carrying the camera around and shooting stuff, and yeah,
do it. that's
and you also like some of these vintage lenses too. You've recognized some of my vintage lenses, and you comment on them like, oh, I remember when that Nikon glass came out.
Well, as an aside, I have to thank you. You got me in touch with a place where I could buy an adapter to use my old 35 millimeter Olympus lenses. And actually that shoots when we were at PG&E for some of the interviews, I was using one of those Olympus lenses that looked terrific, with an adapter, and it was, very sharp. And so thank you, David, for letting me know about using those old lenses.
Yeah, no problem. Those are incredible for, yeah, thank you. You're welcome.
So what would you say you could do to help business owners and other organizations get their business out? Or sorry, their message out?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, we're seeing now that a lot of companies have websites and they're doing social media, but not every company has video on a website. Some people are trying to do it yourself videos on their websites. And in some cases it may work. If it's a company that wants to demonstrate what they do, maybe they could, whip out their smartphone and, and get the shots. But there's a lot of times that they want to capture the attention of the audience. You want to be engaging. That's kind of one of the things in marketing. You want engagement, and then that leads to converting to sales. So that's where a well-planned out video that would have a variety of shots, and not just someone talking on camera, but showing a variety of things. If you have good lighting, good audio, and composition, good camera angles, kind of watching out for the background. There's a whole art around, you know, composition in photography and in video. So yeah, so I would encourage people, if they are looking to have a video, to consider, you know, yeah, they could do it themselves. One of the phrases that I put in my book is that the image of your company is literally in your hands. So you want to be able to have a company where you can get the kind of clients that you like and get the kinds of revenue that you like. And sometimes it's worth it to invest in making a professional video.
Very cool. And so then who would be your ideal client?
Oh, okay. All right. So our ideal clients really are the corporations that are doing training or marketing, and smaller companies. I really like to work with some startups and tech companies. They are, you know, really enthusiastic, you know, like this company that made this, you know, Fire Scout. It's, you know, it's fun to, you know, to see their energy. A lot of them have some really good ideas in terms of, you know, what to do with video. And so, you know, we're looking at the, you know, the marketing departments, communications departments, and really smaller businesses that are serious about, you know, using, this is an amazing tool, and it has been proven that having a video on a website gets you more, what they call SEO, search engine optimization. There's more likelihood that your website is going to show up higher in the list when people search for, you know, your product or service.
Yeah, and I think that even if you're not really relying on SEO, because some companies it's not as, they're not being searched out so much as they're being looked up, and you know, the video, I think, you know, 70% of people learn more from video than they do from audio or reading, and so having that is so important. Yeah.
Yeah, we are almost coming up on time here. I just wanted to add that if you're a company, I'd say 80% or more of companies really could benefit from some of the things that Stu does. And, you know, I do some of this stuff too. We have a little bit of our niche, but I think if you don't have like the video on your website, on the lead page, or video testimonials, do reach out to Stu and just sound out what you actually need. If you're going to do a live event, because some of these, if you don't have them and you're a small business, it's really a no-brainer that you're just giving up kind of the branding and revenue potential if you don't have that. And Stu can take you through that with the testimonials. And other than that, you know, he's just a great sounding board for projects. I just love how he thinks about stuff. I just, he has such a wealth of knowledge. I just consider him such an expert on this stuff, is something that I appreciate almost more than anything, because I'm in the same field. So Stu, thanks for continuing to be friends of us and our show. And we look forward to having you back either later this year or maybe early next year.
Well, thank you.
And with that, we're going to close out this segment. Cory, unless you had any parting thoughts on what you think people should need for video, or what you would recommend there.
Well, just going back to something Stu said, is I would say, if you're going to have a video on your website, have it a professional video. I mean, you might have a gallery or a blog or something that, you know, some amateur stuff, but if you're going to have something that presents your business on the front page, have it done professionally, because that's the one place where it's going to make the biggest impact on people.
Yeah, I'll just end on this, that I think a lot of people don't realize what that video can do for them. And a lot of my job, I spend convincing them the power of that video. They almost don't know how impactful it'll be until they have it. And if it's well done, it's really a huge boost to your business and branding in so many ways. So Stu can show you some examples. I think by showing the examples that he has, you see how impactful that is for his website. Is just really comes to life, and it brings all these causes and businesses and events to life because it's so well done. So with that, we're going to end it. And thanks, Stu. We'll see everybody soon.
Thank you, Cory and David.